Your brain is smaller than your ancestors' brains, much smaller. Not smaller than a monkey's, smaller than a human who lived 10,000 years ago. That sounds backwards. Aren't we supposed to be getting smarter? We build rockets, we split atoms, we definitely feel smarter. So why is our skull actually shrinking on the inside? Let's rewind. Way back, about 2 million years. Early human ancestors had brains about the size of a chimpanzee's, then something remarkable happened. Brains started growing. Fast. Bigger brains meant better tools, better hunting, better survival. For nearly 2 million years, the trend was clear. Bigger is better. By about 100,000 years ago, brains hit their peak size. Roughly 1,400 cubic centimeters, bigger than yours right now. Then, around 10 to 20,000 years ago, the trend reversed. Brains started getting smaller, and they never stopped. Today, the average human brain is noticeably smaller than that peak. How much smaller are we talking about? Estimates vary, but many researchers put it around 10%. That's roughly the size of a tennis ball gone. Some studies suggest even more depending on which populations you compare. This isn't a fringe theory. It shows up again and again in skull data. So what happened? Scientists have a few competing explanations. Theory 1, humans domesticated themselves. Sounds strange, but stay with this one. Look at domesticated animals, dogs versus wolves, cows versus wild oxen. Almost every domesticated species ends up with a smaller brain than its wild ancestor. Less aggression, less threat, less need for a brain built for danger. As human societies became safer and more cooperative, the same thing may have happened to us. We essentially bred ourselves for cooperation instead of survival instinct. Less need for a brain wired for constant vigilance. That's theory 1, self-domestication. Theory 2, we started outsourcing our thinking. 10,000 years ago is also when farming began. Suddenly, people didn't need to know everything themselves. One person tracked animals, another grew crops, another built shelter. Specialization meant no single brain had to hold every survival skill. Knowledge got spread across the group instead of packed into one head. Some researchers call this the social brain trade-off. Why carry a huge, expensive brain if your neighbor remembers half the answers? Groups became the memory bank, not individuals. Writing pushed this even further thousands of years later. Why memorize everything when you can just write it down? That's theory 2, outsourced knowledge. Theory 3 is about pure biology, energy. Brains are incredibly expensive tissue to run. Even though it's only 2% of your body weight, your brain burns around 20% of your daily energy. That's an enormous cost for one organ. As diets and lifestyles changed with farming, that cost became harder to justify. A slightly smaller, more efficient brain may have simply used less fuel. Evolution doesn't reward the biggest organ, it rewards the most efficient one. That's theory 3, efficiency over size. So does a smaller brain mean we're less intelligent than our ancestors? Almost certainly not. Size and intelligence aren't the same thing. Elephant brains are far bigger than ours. So are whale brains. Neither elephants nor whales are writing novels or building spacecraft. What matters more is how the brain is wired, not how much it weighs. Neuron density, connections, and organization matter far more than raw volume. Even Einstein's brain wasn't unusually large, it was unusually well connected, so a smaller, tighter brain might actually run more efficiently, like upgrading from a bulky old computer to a sleek, faster one. But here's where it gets messy. Scientists don't fully agree. Skull measurements from ancient remains aren't perfectly precise. Sample sizes from 10,000 years ago are small, very small. A handful of skulls can't perfectly represent an entire species. Body size also shrank slightly during this period, which complicates comparisons. A smaller body naturally needs a slightly smaller brain to match. So some researchers argue the shrinkage is partly just proportional. Others insist the drop is too large to be explained by body size alone. The debate is still very much alive today. New skull scans and DNA studies are testing these theories constantly. What almost everyone agrees on, though, is the timing. It lines up almost perfectly with the rise of agriculture and settled life. That's not proof of causation, but it's a striking coincidence. Around the same time, human society was completely transforming. From small hunting bands to large settled communities, more people meant more shared knowledge, more specialization, more safety. All three theories may actually be working together, not against each other. Domestication, outsourced thinking, and energy efficiency all at once, a perfect storm of changes all pointing toward a smaller brain. So the next time someone jokes that people used to be smarter, you can tell them it's more complicated than brain size alone. Our ancestors needed bigger brains to survive constant, immediate danger. We built a world where we don't have to carry that alone anymore. Books, tools, cities, and other people became extensions of our own minds. In a way, we didn't lose intelligence, we just spread it out. Your brain today isn't built to survive alone in the wild. It's built to survive inside a network of other brains. Smaller, yes, but wired for an entirely different kind of world. So is a shrinking brain a step backward or a smart trade-off? Honestly, the science still isn't finished answering that, but the mystery itself says something remarkable about how humans evolve. We don't just adapt our bodies, we adapt our entire way of thinking, and that adaptation is still happening right now in ways we can't fully see. So maybe the real question isn't how much we've shrunk, it's what we've become instead. If this blew your mind a little, you're not alone. Let us know in the comments what theory makes the most sense to you. And if you want more mysteries about human history, make sure you're subscribed for what comes next. See you in the next one.